beep, beep. When you hear a Boris Brejcha track, you know it's a Boris Brejcha track. You don't even need to know the ID. The guy has so much character, so much identity that I wanted to make a sound bank based on his work. And I finished it and it's finally out. I also wanted to make a video on the stuff I learned in making the sounds that Boris uses in his tracks, because the sounds aren't that complex. What really sets him apart is in the way that he makes grooves for his track. Also, the way he automates the leads and just all the quirky stuff that makes Boris Boris. Utilization of pitch bends with the bass. And he does this a lot in his older work, you know, a lot of the older tracks. So he has a track called Captain Nemo where I tried to remake the bass, but the bass has so much identity because of the pitch bends that he executes. First off, when writing a bass line, I recommend that you focus on the rhythm of the bass first. From here, we have this rhythm that is being played, but what really sells this rhythm and separates it from everyone else are the pitch bends. Now, inside of Ableton, you can go into your envelopes here, go to MIDI control and go to pitch bend. And then here you can start to program your pitch bends. Now, there's a couple of cool little features most synths are gonna have. The bend range is gonna allow you to really control the pitch bend a lot easier. So when this is at max change at the very top, that means we are up 7 semitones. Okay, and then here you can control it like this. You can see that. So you can really make it glide, or you can shorten it to have it be a little bit more composed. And you can see how that one sounds like. So pitch bends is one of the things he does a lot that just really separates him from everyone else. And here's the thing, right? Like basses that he utilizes with the pitch bends are usually a bit more filtered. So they're kind of like subs. Even though he uses these sub bass lines, they still have a bit of punch to them. And the way you add punch is by lowering down the sustain on your synth. So that way the decay has somewhere to go from max amplitude down to the sustain level. Okay, and from there, you can instill more groove. It's all these little things that he does that just add up to really having this really cool bass. For the demo, I wanted to really focus in on some of his earlier work because I feel like that's what people don't really target too much. And here's another bass that uses the same formula. And this one's a little bit more funkier because now you have and the next thing he does, again, so there's pitch bends and all that, but also the utilization of swing, which you can add manually or you can add with, you know, a groove pull. So what does swing mean? So you usually have 1/16 swing, which is the most popular, and that's the one he uses a lot. And this kind of swing will usually occur on the 1/16, as you can see here. This is 16th. This is how it sounds like. But if we add swing, we're shifting these 16 notes that are on the 16th again. So it's going to be here and here. Okay. This one won't get swung unless you do a 1/8 swing because again, it's lands on the 1/8, but the 1/16s are going to be again 1.1.4, 1.1.2, 1.12.2. So it's in between your beat and offbeat. Okay. And if you can see before I had it super swung. In Ableton, you're going to have your groove pool, which is going to be found at the bottom left here. And I think it's going to be there in launch right here. And you can click here to pick one. So you're going to go with 1/16 usually. Now, the higher the number to the right, the more intense the swing is. And again, with Boris, it's all over the place, but he doesn't shy away from using heavy amounts of, again, swing, which is just not landing on the beat like this, but like shifting it. Now, let's say you want to make your own Boris Brejcha groove. Well, we can make it ourselves. What I recommend you do is you find a really good sound. Again, if you want to support the pack, it's at evilsounds.com. All the sounds are modeled after a Boris Brejcha tracks. That is what I wanted because I know how it is. You get inspired by your favorite artist and you just want to work. Okay, so we can maybe go with, could probably go with this sound, and let's set up just the kick, you know, like have the basic kick to the 3 octave, the C3 range in Ableton. So let's just get something going here. So again, we're in 1/16s. And this offbeat, you don't want to swing it, but if we have another one, we do. But we're going to kind of go over here. And now we want to play with the length of our note as well. Double hit. You can choose to add pitch bends. So again, I usually recommend just being vocal about it. Like I want or whoop. So again, just kind of like mouth it and try and copy what you're doing. And let's maybe, yep. Now from here, this is the part where it's a little harder to teach in a quick video, but I do have a whole masterclass on mastering Serum. But this is where I would recommend as, you know, as a producer, if you want to improve, I always recommend learning a bit of sound design so that you can tailor these basses, these sounds to fit the song, the idea that you want. So for example, this one, we have a long MIDI note being hit, but I need it to last, right? So I can increase the sustain, maybe decrease the decay, sustain. So of course, when you have the long hits, you would increase your sustain. Let's move the decay. And now we can make this come to life. Now, I'm no Boris Brejcha, but pitch bends is one of the things that he does in a lot of his tracks that I just admire. Now, from there, Boris fills out the groove of his track really well with synth as well. And the Boris Brejcha synths are really, really just basic. He doesn't really use too much complex synths, but I feel like that's what adds to his sound. He has a very analog based sound, which just means that a lot of saws, a lot of squares. Okay. The other thing he does too is that he evolves his synths. Now a lot of the patches in this pack are also gonna have modulations. Inspired by Boris as well, so that you can climax your songs as well, your synths. Okay. You can also move this. One of my favorite sounds that I wanted to remake for this pack is the Troublemakers sound, which he dropped at Tomorrowland because it's one of the more iconic sounds. That he has, but it's also one of the weirdest and dirtiest ones that he uses. And again, it's an analog based sound that utilizes filter and heavy distortion to give you the crazy sound that he has. And the way we usually make these kind of sounds is, again, we have a square and a saw that will be routed to a filter. Usually the filter will have a high resonance and it will be moving up the cutoff. And then it's going to pull back really fast. Now the cool thing about Serum is that we have the LFO that is very flexible, so we can add it to a lot of things really quick and then shape it. So here we're routing it to the cutoff, to the resonance, and to the scream filter. From there, the square gets multiple unison, more like 5 squares coming out detuned. And this is what gives that wide sound. From there, so this is the sound that influences. And finally, the last thing is this notch EQ that we have here moving, which is something I learned in the drum and bass world, which he probably did as a mixing thing, because again, if you bring this up, you can see how the sound is masked by this nasty mids. But the moment we bring it down, the sound presents and shows itself. And these are the things that, again, as producers, how are you supposed to figure that out? Cleanliness, this is the right thing to do. It's not newbie, even though it looks kind of newbie. It's a notch, it's a sound design technique, and it's heavily used in the drum and bass world. My favorite lead by far from Boris Brejcha is the Gravity lead. It's beautiful, it's simple, but there's one thing that makes it come to life. So here's the piano sound. moment we add the chorus, it's like euphoria settles in. And this is something that I got inspired by, because now I use pianos and I see them as saws and signs in a way, where I can use it as a starting point for a lead in a song. Just because it's a piano doesn't mean it has to sound like a piano. And that is what this chorus does. It turns the piano into something else that instills euphoria, goosebumps, happiness. Like, you can't, nah. Like, that's, like, as a sound designer, you know, for me, it's like insane that something so simple can be done, but it creates probably one of the best effects on a piano, on a lead I've ever heard. You know, like if you had gave me $1,000 and said, what's one thing that can make this one sound good, or what's the best example, or one thing, piano with chorus, bro, it sounds so good. So these are some of the cool techniques I learned doing a case study on the Boris Brejcha sounds, which I've put into presets for you guys to utilize in Serum. There's a lot of stuff to learn and a lot of sounds that will inspire you if you are into making progressive house, melodic house. So if you guys want to support the channel, this is the best way to do it. Again, my life's goal is to help people make the music that they want, and this is one of the best ways where you guys get to support me and help me keep going, and at the same time you guys get sounds that I put my heart and soul into these past 2 months to bring to you guys, hopefully a treasured trove of inspiration to take your songs to another level. Hopefully the information I've presented as well helps in some way or form, like the utilization of pitch bends, using swing, having your synths climax. Those are all really cool things that, while they might seem simple and not too like wow factor-ish for the social media world we live in, are the things that make the biggest of differences in music as you increase energy. My name is Sam World, and I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. Much love, and you guys have a great rest of your day.